Although Tad Dameron has, for the most part, slipped into obscurity, he is one of the key figures in the formation of modern jazz. Along with Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, Kenny Clarke, and Thelonious Monk, he laid the foundation for jazz in the post-World War II era. Not only was he present at the birth of the bebop movement, he was one of its prime movers. By the time he went to work for Harlan Leonard in the spring of 1940, Dameron was already well into the evolution of the chromatic harmony associated with jazz in the mid-1940s. Whenever the new approach to jazz was taking shape, Tad Dameron was there. He and Charlie Parker were jamming privately in Kansas City in 1940. We have Kenny Clarke's recollections of hearing Dameron play chords with flatted fifths and playing eighth note sequences in the new legato manner in the early 40s at Minton's. Then there is Stan Levy's comments on the way Dameron showed Al Haig in 1945 how to accompany in the new style. While Tad Dameron never enjoyed the ease of soloing at faster tempos that distinguished pianists such as Haig and Bud Powell, he was one of the first to employ the modern or block chord style of soloing. Tad Dameron is an influential collaborator in several defining bebop recordings with Fats Navarro, Babs Gonzalez, and Dexter Gordon. Of course, he is the leader in several more under his own name. In his recordings, he set the stage for the particular integration of arrangement and improvisation that is found in a significant portion of the small group jazz of the following decades, especially in the work associated with the stylistic category of hard bop, such as Horace Silver, Benny Golson, and Gigi Grice. While Dameron is often described as one of the first arrangers to write for big band in the bop style, we must remember that the evolution of jazz in the 40s is evident in the work of a handful of big band arrangers, Dameron among them. These people were developing ideas in the early 40s that would contribute to the modern sound emerging after World War II. Indeed, one always needs to be careful in tracing major developments in the arts. Those innovations that we so often attribute to one person, or even a very small group, are widely accepted because they're in the air, waiting for clear definition. Still, in this regard, Tad Dameron was outstanding in his ability to clearly define the changes that were in the air. As such, he pointed the way for many writers who emerged soon after him. Benny Golson, Gigi Grice, Frank Foster, Jimmy Heath, and Quincy Jones have all said as much. As became clear during his travels overseas, Dameron's influence extended to European jazz musicians as well. Even before Dameron arrived on the continent, George Shearing had written an arrangement of his Lady Bird for Ted Heath's band. In the fall of 1949, James Moody recorded with a small band of progressive musicians from Sweden. Some of the arrangements they used, particularly one of David Raxon's Laura, recorded under Arne Dunn Norris' name, reflect Dameron's influence. Tad's ability to capture what was in the air was not limited solely to the bebop movement. In his non-song form compositions, Nearness and Solfaing and Three Hearts, he boldly anticipated the third stream developments of the 1950s. In these works, as well as some of the music in his recording Studies in Dameron, that's called Studies in Dameronia. Dameron drew on both jazz and European art music influences and techniques in an effort to expand his compositional palette. While the influence of Ellington and Gershwin is unmistakably present, Dameron clearly brings his own sensibility to this process. Most notably is his use of subtle motivic development. While it is difficult to know the extent to which, either by example or in conversation, he shared these concepts with his colleagues, we can see in his work a continuum that predates the third stream and resonates today in the work of jazz composers such as the late Bob Brookmeyer and Maria Schneider.